Hey, hi, good evening, everyone. Good evening, friends. Right, welcome back to our sessions on Python for AI. So, we have successfully completed 7 days of the journey, and today is our eighth day, right? So, let us quickly recap what we have covered in the previous session, and then we'll start the session. Right. So, in the previous class, we have started discussing a data type called list category data type. Yes. What is the purpose of list category data type? What is the purpose of using list category data types? The purpose of using list category data types is it helps us to store multiple values, right? So either it might be unique values or duplicate values. Good. Then apart from it, what are the different types of data types we have on the list category? We have list and we also have tuple. Just give me a minute. Yep. So what is the purpose of using list data type? What is the purpose of using list? List data type helps us to store multiple values and the elements of a list will be stored in square braces. Let me open it. We have understood all the concepts of variables, then we started data types. Okay, under data types, we have covered fundamental category data types, int, float, bool, and complex. Then we have understood sequence category data types, in which we have understood str, bytes, byte array, and range. And in the previous session, we just started the new topic. It is list category data types. So friends, if you're joining for the first time, just consider subscribing our channel because we are going to come up with amazing content in future as well. Right? Yes. So under list category data type, we have two data types. One is a list and the other one is tuple. So the purpose of using list data type is it helps us to store multiple values. Multiple values can be stored either of same type or different type. Okay, either you can have the elements belonging to the same type or different type. And these values can either be unique or duplicates. Even duplicates are allowed. And two types of list objects can be created. One is empty list and the other one is non-empty list. So empty list means where we will not have any kind of elements within the square braces and the length is 0. How can we create empty list? There are again two syntaxes. One is directly using square braces, if not use list function. Right? Yes. Then how can we create non-empty list? Non-empty list can be created, when you have elements within the square braces, that makes non-empty list. And in short, you'll have the length greater than 0. That becomes non-empty list. Then, post understanding the concepts of list, we have started some functions that can be used on list objects. The first one is append. Append function helps us to add the elements at the last of the existing list, right? Then, insert function helps us to insert an element at a specified index. So, yeah, here we have the syntax. So, to parameters is what we have to pass. One is index, the next one is element. Then the third one is remove. We can remove any element from the list object. Then pop of index helps us to remove an element from the existing list by the specified index value. Whatever the value that you are going to pass for the index, so accordingly the element will be removed. Good. Then we also had just pop function which helps us to remove the by default the last indexed element. Then clear function which helps us to clear all the elements from the list object. Right? Then we also understood del keyword, del operation which helps us to delete the elements using slicing, indexing, as well as we can also delete the entire object of list. Then coming to index function. Index function helps us to identify the index of the specified element. Then count function. Count function helps us to get the count of the element. In short, we are going to get the occurrences of the element. And we have also understood extend. Extend is the last function that we have discussed in the previous session. Right? What does extend is? Extend is going to extend the functionalities of one list with other list. Right? So this is the syntax and we have completed till function 9. And in today's session, we'll just continue from function 10 and we'll also understand few more topics that are part of list. Okay. And we'll complete off list category data types. So this is the agenda for the day. So without no further delay, let's get started, guys. Right. So the next function that we have in the sequence is reverse function. What does reverse function does? The reverse function helps us to obtain the reverse order of the elements. Okay. So it is going to reverse the elements that we have in the list. In short, you'll get the list object from back to front. Right? So the syntax is again similar to the previous functions. It is list object dot reverse. Simple. Right. Let me work out on some examples. What are we doing in line number 1186? In 1186, we are creating a list object where there are n number of elements. Okay. So let me create a list object. Do we have duplicates? Yes, there are duplicates. Elements like 10, 20, 30, they got repeated. What is the size of the list? L1, it is, 12. It is 12. Right. So what if I execute 1187? It is going to print L1. The list object will be printed as it is. Yes. Now tell me, what if I execute 1189? What am I trying to do here? I'm going to reverse the function. I'm going to use the function reverse, which will help me to reverse the entire elements present in L1 list. Okay. So when I execute line number 1189, it starts giving the output from 60. From back till the front, will get the output. So 60, 50, 40, so on till 10 will be the output. See. Understood? Yep. Then what am I doing now? Even if you observe in the variable explorer, the values have been reversed. Okay, within the object, the values got reversed. Initially, I have numbers, the elements from 10 till 60. But now, if you see here, I have the elements from 60 till starting from 60 till 10, I have the elements, right? Then I'm going to use reverse function one more time. What happens now? If I use reverse function again on the same list data, okay, on the list object, I'll get the original object as it is, right? So from 10 till 60 is what it is going to return us. See. Now, did we get the same object as it is? Yes. The original object has been returned. Yes. Then, what are we doing in line number 1195? I'm creating a list object, but this time I'm coming up with multiple data type elements. List, within the list I have int, then str type, bool, complex, okay, then float, and finally float. So will it allow me to create a list object? Yes, because list can have elements from different type as well. Let me execute. Yes. I'm able to access all the elements from list object L2. See, here is the list object L2 with 6 elements. There are in total 6 elements. Then let me print L2 object as it is. Now I'll try to use reverse function on the L2 list object. So this is going to reverse the object elements starting from 23.45 till 10. Reverse function. What is the purpose of using reverse function? It helps us to reverse the output. Okay, whatever the elements that we have within the object will get reversed starting from back till the front. See, is it clear? Good. Now let us understand one more function. It is sort. Very important function. Sort function. Right? So sort function helps us to sort the data. Sort function helps us to sort the data that is present in the list. Okay, but what kind of data? The data should be belonging to similar type. Okay, so within the list object, if you have similar type of data, only then the sort function helps us to sort it. And by default, it does sorting in ascending order. What if I want the output in descending order? Then you have to use a parameter called reverse and the value should be true. Okay, so within sort function, there is a parameter called reverse and it takes two values. Either it can be true or false. And by default, reverse takes the value as false. So that is the reason we get every time the output in ascending order. When we use sort function, by default, the order will be in ascending order. But if you want the order to be in descending, you have to ensure that the reverse value should be true. Make the reverse value to true, you'll get the output in descending order. Making sense? Yes. So the syntax is again simple, but within the function, there is a parameter called reverse. This is the key parameter because using this parameter, we are able to get the output either in ascending or descending. Now let me work out on some examples, but sort function will work only on similar data type elements. So what am I doing here in line number 12.7? I'm going to create a list object with only int data type elements. Okay, so I am going to have only the elements of int data and I am storing in L1. What is the size? It is 10. What is the size of it? It is 10. So I am going to print it. Good. Now tell me what happens if I execute line number 1210. What function am I using? I am going to use sort function. Sort function on L1 list object. Okay, L1 has 10 elements of int type and sort function will sort all these elements in ascending order. By default, it does in ascending order. That means from small till big. So what is the smallest value? It is -5. Then -2, 0, 7, so on. Till the largest value. What is the biggest value? 56. So let me execute it. Done. It's done. Okay. You can observe the changes happening within the list. Okay. So let me print the output. So I can clearly see the elements within the list object are ordered in ascending order. Okay. I see the output in ascending order from small till big. Then what am I doing in line number 1213? 1213. Which function am I using? I'm using reverse function. So this reverse function will help me to get the output in the reverse direction. Okay, starting from the last till the first value. Okay, so the same, if I take the same list object, okay, so when I use reverse function, I'll get the output in descending order. In simple, from here till here in the reverse direction. So let me execute line number 1213. Done. So I'm going to print it. So in simple, it is nothing but descending order. Yes. Now I'm going to come up with one more example where I'll be using sort function on str type. Okay. I have a list object in which there are str data, okay, of 5 elements. I'm storing it in L2 object. So I'm printing it. Fine. Now on this L2 list object, let us go and use sort function and tell me what will be the output. What will be the first fruit? By default, sort function does the output in, it returns the output in ascending order. Right? So the output will be in ascending order. What will be the first fruit? It will be apple, then banana, so on. Right? So let me execute. See, it just followed the ascending order. But what if I want to get the output in descending order? There are two ways. Okay. One is now go and apply reverse function on the output. So you'll get it in descending order. If not, on the original list object, if I try to use sort function with reverse is equals to true, then I'll get the output in descending order. Right? Yes. So let me use reverse function on the L2 object where the output will be descending in the reverse direction. Is it clear? What if I have a list object with both int as well as str data. Will sort function help us to sort the data? No, because sort function helps us to only work on similar data type elements, right? Yes. Now, I'm going to create a list object with only int data type elements. Okay, then I'm printing it. I'm using sort function, but I'm changing the value for the reverse parameter. Okay, within the sort function, we have reverse parameter. Yes. So instead of taking it as false, I'm changing it to true, where I'll get the output in descending order. So from big to small is what the output will be. Okay, the output will be in descending order. So I'm going to print it. See, good. Then I'm going to create one more list object of int type elements. Okay, then printing them. Okay, what will be the output if I go with line number 1, 2, 3, 4? Will it be ascending or descending in 1, 2, 3, 4? In line number 1, 2, 3, 4, the output will be in ascending order. Why? Reverse is equals to false. Yes. If reverse is equals to false, either you specify or if you don't specify, by default reverse takes the value as false and the output is in ascending order. So let me print the results. So we have the output in ascending order. Then I'm going to take a list of str type data elements and I'm going to print them. Now let me use reverse is equals to true. If I keep the value for reverse as true, what will be the output? Ascending or descending? By default, reverse takes the value as ascending. Reverse takes false, where the output will be ascending. But if if you want to get the output in descending order, you have to change the value for reverse, keep it as true, and this is going to return the output in descending order. If I keep the output, if I want the output in descending order, ensure that reverse takes the value as true. See. So we'll directly get the output in descending order. Good. Good going. Then I'm going to create a list object with the same elements str type. Okay. Then what am I doing in line number 1, 2, 4, 6? The last example and a sort function. Will it be ascending or descending? Will it be ascending or descending? 1, 2, 4, 6 will be ascending. Why? Even though if you don't pass reverse is equals to false, by default the value for reverse is false. So when you try to print the list object, it gives you the output in ascending order. Good going, good going. Right. So we have understood all important functions that can be used on list object, on list, right? Then coming to the next topic, we have, we have copy processes. Okay. In Python, there are two types of copy processes. But what is this copy process? What do you mean by copy process? Is, copy refers to copying the content. Whatever the content that we have in one object will be copied to the other object. It's nothing but copy. Okay. Copy is a process. It is the process of copying the content that we have in one object to other object. Okay. That is called copy. And in Python, we have two types of copy process. One is called shallow copy and the other one is called deep copy. One is called shallow copy and the other one is called deep copy. But what makes the difference between these two copy process? We'll understand. Okay. So when it comes to shallow copy, the content of both the objects will be same. Okay. So of object 1 and object 2, within both the objects, the content will be same. Then what about their address within the memory? The address of these two objects will be different. Within the memory, you will not have a, within the memory, you will not have, the objects will not have the same address, right? Then coming to the modification of the objects, they are independent of each other. When you try to update the values that are present in one object, that is not going to reflect in the other object. And in general, shallow copy is implemented using copy function. So this copy function we are yet to discuss and we are going to discuss as part of this particular topic. Okay, if we are using copy function, it is actually shallow copy. I repeat one more time. Under shallow copy, when you are trying to copying the content between the objects, the content will be same. But in the memory, the address for both these objects will be different. As the address is different, when you try to modify the object, any of these two objects, they will be independent of each other. They are not dependent on any of them. Okay. So that can be implemented using copy function in Python. Okay. Then coming to deep copy, in deep copy as well, since it is a type of copy, the content will be same across the objects. The content will be same between the objects. But when it comes to the address, of these objects in the memory, both of them have same address. So address of object 1 will be same to address of object 2. Both will be same. Then as they are belonging to the same address, when we try to modify the objects, they are dependent on each other. So when you try to modify any one of the object, that will be reflecting on the other object as well. Then how can we implement deep copy in Python is using assignment operator. So we are yet to discuss this assignment operator. For time being, assume that assignment operator is equals to. Okay, for time being, just assume assignment operator as is equals to. So this is the overview of copy process, and let us understand a few examples for both these types of copy process. Okay, that is shallow copy and deep copy using copy function and assignment operator. Right? We have wonderful examples for both the types. Now, without any delay, I'll start discussing about copy process. Right? What is the first type? The first one is called shallow copy. How can we implement shallow copy in Python? It is using copy function. No, they are not seen. That's what we are going to discuss. Okay, right. So shallow copy can be achieved using copy function. For that, I'm going to create a list object with two elements. Okay, with two elements. One is 10, the other one is str type. It is rosum. And I'm going to store the elements in a list Okay. And I'm going to pass a type. Okay. I'm going to store them in an object called L1. Done. Then I'm going to print the list object along with its ID. ID will return me the address of the object. So in the memory, L1 was stored in this address is what it means. For better understanding, let me make it big. Is it clear now? Yes. So that means we have L1 object, list object L1 at this location, at this address in this memory. Then what am I going to do? I'm going to use copy function, which helps us to copy the content from L1 to L2. Okay, the syntax is again simple. So from list object L1, the content will be copied and it gets stored to L2. So let me execute line number 1255. So even in L2, I'll have the same content. It is 10 and row sum. See, the elements are same. But if I try to execute 1256, when I print L2, anyways the content will be same, 10 and row sum. But will the address be same as L1? But the address will be different. That is what shallow copy does. See, the address that we got for L1 and the address that we got for L2 are the same? No. No. Both the addresses are different. Right? Now, what are we doing in line number 1258? 1258. What are we doing in line number 1258? I'm going to use a function append on list object L1 where I'm trying to add an element Python to the existing list object L1. Will it execute or not? 1258. Append function helps us to add the element at the last, at the end. So 1258 will execute. Done. Post executing the line 1258, just have a look at the variable explorer. I see 3 elements in L1, but only the same 2 elements in L2. So even though if you are trying to modify any one of these objects, the rest of the objects, are they getting dependent? No, they are not getting dependent. Why? Both of them are at two different address. They are at two different locations in the memory. So that is the reason, even though if I am trying to update, even though if I am trying to add a new element into L1, it did not reflect the same in L2. So for better understanding, I am going to print L1 and L2 along with their address. See, 3 elements in L1 and only 2 elements in L2. Here we have the address. Good, good. Then what are we doing in line number 1262? 1262. In line number 1262, I am going to use insert function. Insert function helps us to add the elements to the existing list at specified index. So that means I want to insert an element Java, okay, to list object L2 at index position 1. Right? So will it execute? Will it execute or not? Yes, it will execute. Just have a look. Yes, it got executed. So I see 3 elements and it is Java at index position 1. Yes. At index position 1, we have the value as Java. Now, what am I going to do? For better understanding, I'm going to print L2 and L1 along with the address. So I see the elements between L1 and L2 are not same because of they belong to two different address. Initially, using one list, I have used copy function where shallow copy will take place, and the elements from L1 they have copied to L2. But later on, as we can understand, in shallow copy, the objects, the list objects will have different address. The address will not be same. Okay. Since there will be a different address in the memory, even though when you try to modify these objects, they are independent of each other. The objects will be independent of each other. Okay. We can understand clearly with the examples. Right? Now let me go and apply deep copy. How can we apply deep copy in Python? Using assignment operator. Okay. For that, I'm going to create a list object L1 with two elements. So there are two elements in list L1, and let me print L1 along with its ID, nothing but address. So at this particular address, we have L1 list object L1 got stored. Now I'm going to use, assignment operator. Assignment operator is what I'm going to use to perform deep copy. So this means L1, the content in L1 will be copied to L2. The syntax is very simple, right? The content that we have in L1 will be stored to, will be copied to L2. So let me execute 127271. Yes. Both of the elements, both of the objects have the same content. So deep copy has been done. Okay. For better understanding, I'm going to use print function to print the L2 object along with its address. So if you see here, will both the objects do they have the same address? Yes, they have same address in the memory. In the memory, Python's memory, both L1 and L2 are at the same address. They are at the same location. Now, what if I add an element ds to L1? Will it execute line number 1274? Will line number 1274 execute or not? Yes, it will execute. What function am I using? I'm using append function on list object L1 to add an element ds. Okay. So by default, append function is going to add the element at the end. So just focus here in the variable explorer. So I'm going to execute 1274. What happened? The moment we executed 1274, not just ds getting added in L1, I see the same element ds in L2 at the same position. Okay. So in deep copy, as part of deep copy, what happens is when you try to update, when you try to modify the content present in the objects, as they are dependent on each other, you'll see the same elements part of both the objects. Why? Because both the objects are at the same location. Okay. Now let me print L1 and L2 along with the address. See. I have three elements in L1 and three elements in L2. Both of them are same at the same location. Good. Tell me what happens if I execute 1278. Line number 1278. 1278. Will it execute? Yes, it will execute. I'm going to use insert function which helps us to insert the elements into a list object. Okay, that is L2 at specified index. What is the index that I have specified? It is 1. Okay, so not just inserting into list L2. Okay, so let me execute this. Focus on this part. Not just inserting into L2, I see the same element inserting in L1. Why? Because deep copy has been done. It is not shallow copy, it is deep copy. See, we have both the list objects at the same address. So when you try to update the values, if you are trying to modify the content present in these objects, okay, then obviously as they are dependent on each other, the same will reflect on the other object as well. That is deep copy. But in shallow copy, the objects are independent of each other. Very, very important. Deep copy and shallow copy. Making sense? Good. Now let us go and understand the next topic that we have is inner list or nested list. What is this inner list or nested list? It's nothing but list inside a list is inner list. Having or writing, the process of writing one list inside another list is called inner list or nested list. So far, we just worked on list objects, right? But now, let us go and work on nested list, inner list. Here we have the syntax. See, I have a list object in which there are multiple list objects. That is nothing but inner list, right? So on this inner list, we can perform indexing, we can perform slicing, we can also work out on all the functions that were being discussed so far on the list objects. Okay, so that means whatever we have performed on list can also be done on inner list or nested list. But it will be interesting, right? Here we have multiple examples for nested list or inner list. So let us start hands-on, right? So you see here, let me just extend it. Yep. What am I doing in line number 1291? I'm going to create a list object in which there are multiple elements where I have an int data followed by str data. Then next to str data, what do we have? We have a list object again. I have a list data inside a list. Then what is the next element? It is again a list data. And finally, I have an str data. So within the list, I have two lists. So it is nothing but it is an example for inner list or nested list. Okay, the process of writing one list inside the other list is called nested list or inner list, right? So what will be the size of line number 1291? It is student info. What will be the size? The size is 5. How come 5? Let me open it. See. There are in total 5 elements. Out of 5 elements, 2 elements are again list data again. Okay, we have 2 elements at index 2 and 3. We have 2 list objects again. Let me open it. See. Why should we use spider? So this is the advantage of using spider. I can go to any depth. Till any extent I can go and have a look at my data. Right? Now what am I going to do? I'm going to print the list object as it is. along with its type. So obviously it has to return me the answer as a list and the object as it is. Excuse me. Right. Now I'm going to use indexing and slicing concept on inner list. On a nested list, we are going to use the concepts of indexing and slicing. So what will be the output for line number 1294? What are we doing in line number 1294? In 1294, we are going to use the concept of indexing. What is indexing? Indexing is nothing but process of, it means to access a single value at a time. So I'm going to access the element which is at 0th index of the variable of student info object. What is the element that we have at index 0? It is 10. Good. What will be the output for line number 1295? 1295. Student info of index 2. Take your time, but I want the correct answers. Good. Keep going, keep going. The output for 1295 will be the first list object. Right? So this is 0. The next str data will be 1 and the list that we have with elements 13, 19 and 15 will be the output for line number 1295 because this specific list is present at index position 2. Good. What will be the output for line number 1296? 1296. It will be the second list object. 76, 56 and 67. The list will be written as it is. Good. We are using indexing concept. Okay. So I'm going to use the concept of indexing to access single elements. What will be the output for line number 1297? 1297 will return us the last element. It is str data. Okay. So it will be OUCET. Then what will be the output for line number 1298? 1298. For 1298, what is the index that we are passing here? It is -2. Can index be -2? Yes. Index can be positive or negative. So minus index represents from reverse direction. That is right till left. So the first element will be -1. Then the second element will take -2. So that means for line number 1298, the output will be the second list 76, 56 and 67. Keep going. What will be the output for line number 1299? 1299. So I'm just going to access the value that is present at index position -3. So -1, -2, and this is my -3. So in this list, I have this particular list at index position -3. So the output will be 13, 19 and 15. The list will be written as it is. Good, good. So far, it was very easy for us because we are familiar with the concepts of indexing on list. Now, you know, we have to focus how or what will be the output for line number 1300. 1300. What concept it is? It is again indexing only, friend. It is indexing. Okay. So first of all, understand properly. Student info of -3. So this is going to return, this entire list. This entire list will be written if I go with student info of -3. But additionally, I also have 0. So that means in this output, okay, in this list, what element do we have at index position 0? That is what it means. Okay, I hope it's clear. So even the element that we have here is list, and list is indexed. By default, the indexing starts at 0. So the element that we have at index position 0 is 13. So for line number 1300, the output should be 13. Clear? Keep going, keep going. Tell me the output for line number 1301. -3 of -3. This is -1, -2, -3. Then within this entire list, it has to return me the element which is present at -3. 1301. Good. So within this list, again we have, negative index. So when do we have negative index? When we come in the reverse direction. -1, -2, and this will be -3. So that means even for 1301, the output will be 13. The output will be 13. Good. Output for line number 1302. What will be the output? 3 of 3. So what is the third element? 0, 1, 2 and 3. I should get a index error. Perfect. When you try to access an invalid index, okay, using an invalid index number, you have to get an index error. Index error is what we get because there is no element with index 3 at index position 3. No. Then what am I doing in line number 1303? 1303. I'm using the concept of both indexing and slicing. Okay. So if you see here, first of all, I'm going to get the element which is present at index position 3. So that means this entire list. Then on this list, I want, the slicing to be happened. What does it mean? It means I'm not passing any value for start, begin, end and step. So this will print the list as it is. It will print the list as it is. 1303. 1304. I'm going to access the same list, but if you see here, the difference between 1303 and 1304 is negative value for step. So, which is going to print the list in reverse direction. So, we have discussed the concept of palindromes, right? So, when I execute line number 1304, it is going to print the list in reverse direction. And for line number 1305, the list will be printed as it is. Is it clear? So this is how we use the concept of indexing and slicing on nested list or inner list. Right? Now let us go and work out on, for better, I'll do one thing. Right. Now let me use some functions that we have used on list. Okay. So let me use some functions on nested list. So I'm taking the same list. What are we doing in line number 1309? In 1309 line, I'm going to use append function. What does append function does? Append function helps us to add the elements by default at the last position. Okay. So where are we going to add this 14 element? I want to add this element in this list at index position 2. So this is 0, this is 1. So that means to this list at the last position next to 15, I want to add 14. Okay, it adds 14 next to 15. So let me execute and print. See, making sense? Now you have to give a try and tell me where this 68 is going to get inserted into the list. Into the nested list where element 68 will get inserted. Where the 68 is going to get inserted. So in this list, what is the element that we have at -2? So this is -1 and this is -2. Okay. So in this list, at index 1, element 68 will be inserted. So that means between 76 and 56, element 68 will be inserted. Let me print. Yes. 76, 68 and 56. Simple. See, if you have understood the concepts of, the functions, it is very simple to work on nested list. It will be similar to list, but here we'll have list inside a list, right? Good. Then, what are we doing in line number 1315? In line number 1315, what am I going to do? I'm going to use sort function, but am I going to sort the entire list? No. I want to sort, the element which we have at -3 index. So -1, -2 and -3. So that means only this particular list has to be sorted. And by default, sort function performs ascending order. It returns the output in ascending order. So the output should be 13, 15 and 19. So that will be the changes will be happening in the same list object. Let me execute and print. Okay, anyways, we also have 14, right? So I am supposed to use this. So 13, 14, 15 and 19. Because we have appended 14 guys. Okay. So you should also consider 14. Good. Then what are we doing in line number 1318? 1318. We are going to use the sort function again, but are we sorting the entire list? No. I'm going to sort only the element that we have at index position 3. Okay. So what is the element that we have at index position 3? So it is a list again. So what kind of sorting should be done? The sorting that I want is, descending order, because I just kept the value for reverse is equals to true. So when I sort the list, it will be 76, 68, 67 and 56. So let me execute and print. Yes. From big to small. Then what are we doing in line number 1321? 1321. I'm using pop of index function. So which means it is going to remove the element that we have at index position 2 from the list object. So what is the element that we have at index position 2? It's a list. So let me execute, So that means the list object has been removed. Now our list object will not have two list objects. It will be only one. See, there is only one inner list. Good, good. Tell me what are we doing in line number 1324? Pop of -2. So which element will be removed from the existing list? So this is the updated list, right? So from this updated list, which element will be removed? It will be the element that we have in -2 index. Again, it is a list. So if I execute line number 1324, the inner list will also get removed and I'll just have only 3 elements. Only 3 elements are present. Good. What are we doing in line number 1327? 1327. I'm using insert function, okay, where I want to insert a list. A list has to be inserted, friends. Okay, at index position 1. So that means between 10 and RS. So at this position, we'll have the new list. Okay, so let me execute. See, again, it has created a nested list or inner list. I have list inside a list. Making sense? Previously, we have nested list, inner list. I have removed it using pop. Now again using insert function, we have made our list into nested list. So tell me what are we doing in line number 1330? 1330. So I'm going to use pop function. So this pop function helps us to remove the element which we have at the specified index. But am I going to remove from the original list? No. The element that we have at index position 1 in the list, that is nothing but a list again. So in this list, I want to remove the element which we have at index position 2. So 0, 1, 2. So that means 14 gets removed. Let me print. Yes, there is no 14 in the output. Keep going, keep going. It will not be 19, it will be 14, friends. Then, what are we doing in line number 1333? Yes. What are we doing in line number 1333? I'm using insert function again to insert a value into the list. Okay. And the element is again a list. It is again a list. I want to insert into our list at index position 3. So where will I have the new list coming? This is 0, 1, 2. Then next to 2 you will have the new list coming in. So that means between the str data we'll have the new list coming inserted. So let me print. Yes. So it is 10 is an int data, int type. Next to it we have list type value, then str type. Again we have list type and finally str type. Yes. Right. What if I execute line number 1336? Will it execute or not? What are we trying to do in line number 1336? I'm going to use append function. Okay. So this append function is going to append a list. Okay. It is a list of str data and this list is going to get appended to a list object again. So this is our list. Okay. To this list, we are going to append a list object again. Will it execute? Line number 1336. Yes, it will execute. Okay, so at the last position, we will have the new list coming in. So the size of student info will be 6. Let me open it. So out of the 6 elements, we have 3 elements as list objects only. See, we have 3 elements as list objects only. Yep. Using append, we are able to get the output. Now, what if I execute 1339? Line number 1339, where I am going to use append function again. Will it execute or not? 1339. Will line number 1339 execute or not? Where I am going to add, I'm going to use append function. So there are 4 values: apple, kiwi, raspberry, and banana. Will it execute? No, it will not execute. No, friends, line number 1339 will not execute. Why? Because append function takes only a single argument. But how many we are passing here? We are passing 4. Okay, we did not have all of these str data in a single object. All of them are separate. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 values you are passing inside the append where we can pass only one. Only one argument is what it expects. See, in line number 1336, am I passing 4? No. I'm just passing only one argument, that is list. Inside list I have. Inside list I have 4 elements. So that makes the difference between 1336 and 1339. Making sense? Yes. So this marks the end of list data type in list category data types. Okay, so the next topic that we have is similar to list category, list data type, which is called as tuple. Which is called as tuple. So what is a tuple? Tuple is again, it is one of the data type that we have under list category data types. So it is treated as a predefined class and it is one of the list category data types. Like how we have list under list category data types, in the same way we also have tuple. The second type is tuple. So the purpose of tuple is to store multiple values either of same type or different type. Okay, and these values can be unique and duplicates. Okay, so that means the purpose of tuple is also same. In the previous session, we have understood the purpose of list, right? So even list helps us to store multiple values, either of same type or different type, and these values can be of unique and duplicates. But the elements of tuple should be written within braces. Regular braces is what we use. But in tuple, we use square braces. Okay, and ensure that these elements are comma separated. Yes, all the elements should be comma separated and the element should be within regular braces. And the tuple object maintains insertion order, which means in whatever order that we insert our data, okay, so the order will not change, friends. The order of the elements will be as it is. Right? And object of tuple is immutable. Here comes the difference between list and tuple. List objects are mutable, but tuple objects are immutable. So what do you mean by mutable and immutable? What do you mean by mutable and immutable? Respond in the chat. Mutable is nothing but the objects that we can change. So that is why we are able to change the objects of list. But tuple objects are immutable. Once if they got created in the memory, we cannot change. We cannot edit a tuple object once if it is created in the memory. Good. Then we can also perform indexing and slicing operations on tuple, and we use tuple function to convert any other data type elements into tuple object. Like how list function is used, in the same way tuple function helps us to convert other type elements, other type objects into tuple object. And in general, we can also have two types of tuple objects. One is called empty tuple and the other one is called non-empty tuple. So empty tuple is a tuple which does not contain any elements. So no elements inside an empty tuple. So that is the reason the length of an empty tuple will be 0. The length of empty tuple will be 0. But if you take non-empty tuple, the length will be greater than 0, in which we have some elements. Similar, empty list, non-empty list. Right? In the same way, we have two types of tuple objects, empty tuple, non-empty tuple. Then coming to, this is very important point, because especially you can expect as part of your interviews as well. What is the difference between list and tuple? Okay, so if you see here, the functionality of tuple and the functionality of list, both are exactly similar. Both are same. But where we have the difference is the list belongs to a mutable type, whereas the tuple object are immutable in nature. Okay, so very important question. The difference between list and tuple objects. Okay, so tuple is an immutable object. Okay, they are immutable in nature, but list are mutable in nature. Even though if they got created, we can change them, we can edit them. Making sense? Since list object they belong to immutable category, so we'll not have many functions that can be used on tuples. Okay, since tuple belong to immutable category, we cannot use multiple functions like list. Okay, so the number of functions that we can use on tuple gets reduced. Why? Because it is belong to immutable category, right? So multiple functions cannot be used, only basic. Right. Now let us go and start working on hands-on. Here we have the syntaxes, right? We have the syntax for creating an empty tuple. So how can I create an empty tuple? Just use empty parenthesis. So this is going to create an empty tuple. If not, you can also create using tuple function. So in both the ways, we are going to create an empty tuple only, friends. It creates an empty tuple. But what if I want to create a non-empty tuple? If I want to create a non-empty tuple, I have to keep elements inside the parenthesis. If you add at least one element, it becomes a non-empty tuple. Okay, the length of non-empty tuple will be greater than 0, obviously. Right? So now let us work out on some of the examples that we have here. So I'm going to create a tuple object. Okay, so a tuple object will allow us to store multiple values of same type or different type, and these elements or the values can be unique as well as duplicate. Okay, so I'm going to execute line number 1357. So if you see here, T1 is the tuple variable. It's a tuple object. The name of the variable is T1, but under the type it is tuple. What is the data type? It is tuple. Then coming to the size, it is 6. It is 6. Then what am I going to do? In line number 1358, I am going to print the tuple object along with its type. The entire object will be printed along with its type. Then what does length function does? What is the purpose of length function? Length function will return the length of the object, size of the object. So I want to get length of tuple T1 object. Tuple object T1. So it is obviously 6. I can also get the information from here, from the variable explorer. Right? Now, let us go and create one more tuple object with elements from different data types. So I have an element from int, str, float, bool, as well as str again. Is it accepted to have the elements from different data types? Yes, it is accepted. Right? So let me go and execute line number 1361. Done. What is the size? It is just only 5. So let me print it and I'll also get the length of T2. So here I'm going to get the length of T2 as 5. The tuple object, the length it is only 5. Then what are we doing in line number 1365? 1365. I'm going to create a tuple object, but it is an empty tuple. Why? Am I passing any values inside the parenthesis? No. So it will create a tuple object, but of size 0. See, T3 is the tuple object, the name of the variable, and the type is tuple. You see, is there any element inside it? No, it is 0. Let me print it with its type, and the length is 0. So in order to create empty tuples, we have two ways. Either by using parenthesis, if not using tuple function. Using tuple function. Good. So what if I execute line number 1369? Again, it is going to create an empty tuple. Okay. So even T4 is a tuple object of size 0. That means it is an empty tuple. I'm going to print T4 with its type, and the length of T4 will be 0. Length of T4 will be 0 again. Then can we have duplicates inside a tuple object? Yes, we can have duplicates inside a tuple object. So if you see, what are we doing in line number 1373? I'm going to create a tuple object with elements like 10, 10, 20, 10, 10, 20. So that I can clearly see that we have duplicates. Are duplicates allowed inside a tuple object? Yes. We can have both unique as well as duplicates. See, the duplicates are stored as it is. And the size of the tuple object T5 is 6. When I print T5, it will print me the tuple as it is, and the type of type T5 will be tuple. Keep going. When you start typing, when you start responding, only then you will be active, friends. So what are we doing in line number 1376? This is very important. Okay. So try to understand what are we doing in line number 1376. What are we doing in line number 1376? In line number 1376, am I going to create a tuple? First of all, am I going to create a tuple or what it is? Because there is a variable, then I have many values to it. Will it execute? Here comes the main point. I can also create a tuple object in this fashion. Okay. I have elements like 10, which is int, then str and float, right? So I'm going to store multiple values, but am I using parenthesis? No, but still it will execute, and tuple, data type will be used to store these values. It will not be error. That is you know, why you are supposed to listen to the sessions is here we are going to come up with the important concepts, the core concepts. Okay, many of you might have been aware that it will be an error. It will throw as an error is what you think, right? No, it will not throw any error. Even we can create a tuple object in this fashion. T6 is a tuple object of size 4. Agree? Yes, we can also create a tuple in this fashion. Never assume that it will create an error. It does not throw an error. It will create a tuple object. Okay. Tuple type will be used. Tuple data type will be used to store all these values. Again, the question rises. I did not use parenthesis. Might be your question, right? But still, it will accept. So for clarification, let me print T6 along with its type. Yes. Here is T6, and next to it we have the type for T6. Accepted? Good. Then what are we doing? I'm going to create a tuple object of different data type elements, and I'm going to print them as it is. Now I'll go and work on indexing and slicing. Will tuple allow us to work on indexing and slicing operations? Yes. Tuples help us to, we can work on both indexing and slicing operations on tuple. So T2 of 0 will return me what? T2 of 0 will return me what? What is the element that we have at the 0th position of tuple object T2? It is 10. The output is 10. Good. In the same way, give me the output for line number 1383. This is indexing and 1383 is slicing. 1383 is slicing. I want the output for line number 1383 because if you understood the concept of list, tuple is again similar to it. But the only difference we have observed is tuple is immutable object, but list are mutable object. So tell me the output for line number 1383. 1383, it is going to start the index at 0 till where am I going to get the output? Till 4. So that means the entire tuple will be printed as it is. Am I right? 10 RAM 34.56 true Python will be written as it is. Good. What will be the output for line number 1384? 0:3. What is the output for line number 1384? It will be 10 RAM and 34.56 only. Is it clear? Yes. Good, good. Now, what am I trying to do in line number 1386? So the element that we have at index position 0 in tuple object T2 is 10. And I'm going to update it to 100. Okay, I'm trying to perform item assignment. As we know that tuple objects are immutable, will line number 1386 execute? No, 1386 should return as an error. Only if you get an error, if you get an exception, then we can understand tuple objects are immutable. Okay, here I am trying to update the value of element 0 at index position 0 of T2, but it has to throw me error. See, tuple object does not support item assignment. So which means we cannot update tuples. We cannot change tuples once if they got created. Why? They are immutable. Then what are we doing in line number 1388? I am going to create a tuple object with 3 elements. Done. It's L1, right? Sorry, I am going to create a list object. It is list. My bad, it is not tuple, it is list. Then I am going to print the list object along with its type. How did you decide whether it is a list or tuple? Just focus on the braces, friends. I am using square braces to have all my elements. To store the elements, what kind of braces did we use? We are using square braces, not regular braces. So it will create a list object. Keep going. Then what are we doing in line number 1391? In line 1391, the list object that we have is getting converted to tuple using tuple function. Okay, I'm going to convert the list object into a tuple object using tuple function. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Okay, so let me execute. Done. Done. Where it got stored? It got stored in T11. Here is the tuple object of size 3 and these are the values. These are the values. And let me print the T11 along with its type. See. Right? Now, what am I doing in line number 1394? 1394. In 1394, I am going to create a tuple object in which I have a tuple and a list as elements. Okay. So within a tuple object, I have a tuple object again and a list as well as elements, as values. Will it accept to create a tuple object in this fashion? Yes. We can create tuple objects. So it is a example for nested tuple, right? So let me execute. The elements got stored in T1. So T1 is the tuple object of size 5. Let me open it, friends. You see here, the first element that we have is int. The second one is an str type. Third one belongs to a tuple object. Fourth one is a list object. And fifth one is an str data again. Okay, we can have the elements in this fashion. It will execute. I'm going to print along with its type to the console. Yep. Now you have to tell from here onwards. What will be the output for line number 1397? T1 of 3. I'm going to access the element which is present at index position 3 using indexing concept. Okay. I'm using indexing. So T1 of 3 will return me what? What it will return? T1 of 3 should return me the entire list object. Why? Index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. So entire list object should be returned as it is. Let me execute and check. Yes, we are correct. We are right. Then tell me what will be the output for line number 1398. 1398. T1 of 3 again. But am I just, do I want T1 of 3? No, I want type of T1 of 3. So it will be list. Perfect. The output will be list. So in short, whatever the output that we got, for this output, I want list. I want the type is what it was clearly written in 1398. Then tell me the output for line number 1399. 1399. 1399 says type of T1 of 2. So which element do we have at index position 2? I have a tuple object at index position 2. So type of T1 of 2 should return me tuple as output. Good. Perfect. Perfect. In the same way, I want the output for line number 1400. What will be the output for line number 1400? It will be, what is the question? The question says type of T1. So what is the type of T1? What kind of object it is? It is tuple. So the output is tuple. Making sense? 1400 cannot be string. No, there is no data type called string. No, it is a tuple. Okay, because I have all the elements present inside regular braces and all the elements are comma separated. So it is a tuple object, right? Now, tell me, will line number 1402 execute or not? Will line number 1402, will it execute? First of all, what are we doing? In tuple object T1, okay, at index position 3, that means in this list, okay, in this list to this list, at index position 0, can I change the value to 100? Because tuple is a mutable object, but I have a list object inside tuple object. So the question is in simple, in short, can we can we update the values that are present in a list object which is present inside a tuple object or not? What do you see? Will line number 1402 execute? Yes or no? Just give your answers. All of my friends says no, but the answer is yes. It will execute. I can change the values. I can update the values that are present inside a list object, which is present even inside a tuple object. Why? List is a mutable category. It belongs to mutable category C. 56 got updated to 100. Yes. The answer is yes, and I'm showing you the result as well. See the output. Right? In the same way, tell me, will line number 1405 execute or not? 1405. What are we doing there? So T1, so tuple object within the tuple object, T1 of 2. Again, it is a tuple object. So the tuple object that we have inside the tuple, okay. So is it possible to update the value at index position 0? So can we update, instead of 14, can I make it as 100? What if I execute line number 1405? Will it execute or not? 1405. Yes or no? Keep going. All of us are clear on the concepts. List is mutable, tuple is immutable. But you can expect these kind of questions in interviews. What if you have a tuple object inside a tuple object? Okay. So inside a tuple object, if you have a tuple object again, can you try to update the values present in it? Is it possible to change the values? The answer is no. You'll get an error stating that tuple object does not support item assignment. Tuples are immutable. Okay. So even though if it is present inside a list, you cannot change them. Right? So this marks the end of tuples as well. Hope we have very interesting session today because many new topics is what we have learned as part of today's session. And if you feel the same, ensure that to give a like at the last. Okay, hit on the like button before you leave, friends. And moreover, share these amazing sessions to your connections. Ask them to learn Python. Ask them to join the sessions and learn it. And if you have any kind of questions, if you are facing any kind of errors, do post them in our comment section. We'll respond immediately. Right? So thank you for joining. And before you leave, we are yet to provide the link, right? Yes, if you have any kind of technical questions, yes, please ask or please shoot your questions. Any questions? Thank you for your support. Yes, the feedback link has been provided. Thank you so much, guys. for joining and making the sessions great. And ensure that everyone has to provide your feedback. Your feedback is very valuable for us, right? So before you leave, ensure that you are also providing. Yes, if you are part of our WhatsApp community, we are going to provide all the links in the for the programs that we conduct. Okay. Yes. Guys, please hit on the like button because it's a kind of support that you are going to get that we get from your side. Okay, and it will be a kind of encouraging for us as well, right? Yep. So before you leave, once again, thanks for joining the sessions and making them interactive. So today I felt even the session went well because I see all of you are typing the answers in the chat. Okay. So this has to be maintained till the last day of this program, right? Yes. We have to learn and grow together. So ensure that you also practice. Your hands-on is must and should. If you don't practice, there is no use. Type at least 200 to 300 lines of code on daily basis. Right. Let us meet in the next session. Until then, take care. Have a great day. Signing off. Bye.